Over in Switzerland, we are seeing a potentially historic title about to be secured. Still got a few weeks left to go, but FC Thun are close to absolutely smashing it in the Swiss League and doing an unprecedented feat. See, if you've not heard of them, there's a reason. They were just promoted. They just won the second division last year. And then all of a sudden, they are 14 points clear through 29 matches of the Swiss League over St. Gallen. This is, again, a Swiss League that has notable names. You know, if you guys have followed the Champions League for a few years now, teams like Basel and Young Boys are in this league. Basel won it last year. Young Boys have dominated the league standing and, getting the Champions League for years now. But again, this is an incredible, incredible feat. This is a side that has never won a major trophy. Their most major trophies are 2 second division league titles last year, and in 2004, I believe they also won. This is a huge, huge uptake. Their league, value, they are the second least valuable team in the entire league. It's crazy. They are valued at about 12 million euros, whereas Young Boys are about 67 million euros valuation, squad value. So that just shows the discrepancy there. But this is not just some fluky get to the top and just scrape our way through 1-0, 2-1 every single time or whatever. They've scored the most goals in the entire league, and they've conceded the least amount of goals in the entire league. So it's not like they've just scraped their way through. Now, the Swiss League, they operate a little bit different if you're only familiar with the Premier League. A lot of leagues do this, but they essentially have a split. So the Swiss League, they've played 29 games, they'll play 33. So once they play the 33 games, they'll be split up into the championship group and the relegation group. And then you'll play each of those teams once. So it'll be a total of 38 games played throughout the whole season, and they're at 29 with 14 points clear. And they've got plenty of breathing room, but they also have plenty of time to screw things up. But at the same time, this is a side, they've just been rolling through some teams at times, just going right through. And again, this is not also a nobody. So if you guys have gone ahead and followed Champions League for a while, this is a side that has actually played in the Champions League before. All right, so their manager was the legend of the club, essentially. He scored 20 goals in 2004, 2005, and got them into the Champions League. And they ended up coming in third place behind Ajax and Arsenal in their group. I'm trying to find, it was in 2006 Champions League season, 2004, 2005 league season, 2006 Champions League season. They ended up playing in Champions League, one of the smallest clubs to ever play in Champions League, and played at the home of Young Boys because of their stadium not fitting regulations, and they have another chance to do so. Upcoming, they would have to go through multiple playoff rounds, so they are not like the Premier League where the winner is automatically into the league phase. They have to win 3 playoff rounds at that point to get into the Champions League. So that doesn't even necessarily guarantee that they will get European football at all. But a lot of times those first few rounds, you'll start getting some sides like from North Macedonia and San Marino and Moldova, and no disrespect for those nations, but you put them up against teams from Switzerland, you would 100% expect the Swiss sides to win. And again, this is a huge, huge, huge thing. I mean, this is a side that has come from nowhere. Everyone would have expected Basel or Young Boys to take over, maybe Lugano and St. Gallen to compete in there, and Thun probably to be fighting to stay up, but they aren't. They are flying. I mean, there's also an element of youth about them and just free playing. And I think what helps them so much is they got on a roll early and they got some confidence and got going. Their manager is that striker. It is Lustrinelli. He scored 20 goals for the Swiss side all the way back in 2004, 2005 to help propel them to second place, their highest ever finish, second place in the Swiss League, to get them into the Champions League. So they 100% have a chance of being led back to the Champions League, being led to their first ever major trophy, and it being done by probably their most legendary player of all time. They do have some very key players. I mean, their top goal scorer right now is Elman Rostador. He's got 12 goals, so he is playing quite well. He's a Swiss-born North Macedonia international, and he will most likely be featuring in the World Cup playoffs for North Macedonia against Denmark in this March window coming up. So that's definitely somebody to keep an eye on once we hit those March windows, just to see what's happening. But this isn't just some club that was up in the Champions League for a while and kind of quietly went back down to the second division. They went back down to the second division right before COVID, 2019, when they were really struggling financially and borderline bankrupt. And they had some American and Chinese investors that just kind of helped spur things along. But this is an independent, locally owned club. This is not some Hollywood club that's owned by Ryan Reynolds or some multi-billionaire and multi-billion-dollar company like someone like Chelsea or Arsenal or someone like that. It's not. It's locally owned, so they can't be putting $100 million into their players and into their squad. You see that with their squad value and how long it's taken them, over 4 years to get back to the Swiss Super League. And they've done it, and they've all of a sudden made this jump, and now they're making a huge jump once again to really take off and establish themselves at the top. Now, when they get to the top, the hard part is to stay there. So that's the next challenge. Keeping these guys and keeping them for a while and letting them keep playing. They do have a young prospect who's playing really well. His name is Ethan Maitri. He's a Swiss youth international. He's not made a senior national team appearance yet, but I definitely think he could be in consideration in this March window. Switzerland aren't going to have too much of a very pressure window, and he's been playing really well. He's a nice youth prospect. If he doesn't get called up this window, I expect it to come soon. Again, he's a very good player, and he's going to go ahead and I think we'll have a nice long career based on everything I've read about him and read about this club so far. But yeah, I mean, this is also going to end up being actually where the Swiss FA essentially moves to. So Switzerland is going to be moving their home base, and it was approved in the summer. I think it was August or so, and it's going to be getting moved. So there's still a lot of games left. There's still a lot of pieces to fall into place for Thun, but at the same time, this is a huge, huge deal for them. They've gone from bankrupt all the way up to potential league champions in only a few years. They went from winning the second division to potentially winning the first division of Switzerland right in quick succession. It is an incredible accomplishment by any means at any country in second to first division or even third and second division, no matter what it is, to go and win the league 2 years in a row after getting promoted. It's an incredible, incredible accomplishment, but they have to keep their foot on the gas. They can't win, sell off everybody, be happy, and call it a day. And I don't think they will. I think that some players will end up getting moved to some bigger clubs and bigger wages and everything. I do expect it. But again, they have to be smart about it. Move some pieces around. Okay, this guy goes. Who can we buy in? Help bolster that money. It's really establish themselves as league, consistent league ever presence, as well as fighting for that league title year after year. Now, do I expect this team to go ahead and win it again? If they win it this year, win it again next year? I do not. Like I was just saying, players are going to end up leaving, and I just think that it's just one of those years where, you think about like someone like a Leicester. They went ahead, they won quite remarkably, and then they sold a bunch of their players over the next couple of seasons, and then they've fallen way down back into the championship. But then somebody like Bodo Glimt in Norway, we know how they're doing right now, in Norway and in the Champions League. But when they first won the league, They didn't sit there, sell everybody, not invest or anything like that. They sold a few pieces, but then they kept so much of the squad. They kept their manager, and then they found the right pieces to come in and just continue to upturn, and produce more talent and more players. And I think that's what the approach that Thun have to go with here to continue to stay at the top of Swiss football. I hope they stay. I think it's so fun to see different sides getting into the Champions League and playing and just seeing what it means to the communities and to the fans and all. But I'm going to be rooting for Thun to seal things out again. They've got 29 matches played right now out of 38, so you still have 10 more games left. A lot of football still to be played, but a 14-point lead over St. Gallen is huge. So hopefully they go ahead, see things out, and get themselves into the Champions League for next year and into the qualifying rounds, and then make their way into the league stage.